everyone! Hello friends and viewers! We're back again sa ating online mentoring. And this week, I would like to talk about the life of Abigail. So my title message is, Bring Out the Best in You, yes, even in the hardest times. Oftentimes in life is not the easiest of times, but the hardest that can bring out the best in people. Totoo naman yan. Lumalabas yung pinakamahusay mula sa atin whenever we pass through the hardest times in our lives. Abigail's life was a powerful reflection of this truth. You see, Abigail is a lesser-known heroine in the Bible. She's a humble woman who was married to Nabal, who is a harsh man. So instead of wallowing in self-pity and defeat over her circumstance, she acted courageously and used great wisdom when faced with a threatening scenario. Abigail's story begins in 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 2. So from here, we learn that David and his men have been staying in the wilderness near Nabal's flocks, and while they have been around, no thieves have been able to steal any sheep or harm Nabal's servants. David sends messengers asking for a little something for the effort they have done to Nabal. But Nabal's reply is so ungracious, selfish, lacking in tact or hospitality, and disrespectful, of course. A reciprocal act of goodwill in exchange for the protection that was given seems to have been the right thing to do. Giving a disrespectful answer to 600 fighting men is not a wise thing to do. So when David heard the response, he was so furious and takes off with 2/3 of his men to kill every man in Nabal's household. Maybe Nabal is angry because he feels like he's being strong-armed or extorted into doing something he doesn't want to do. Maybe he did not fully grasp the benefit that David and his men provided. Meanwhile, a wise servant doesn't bother going to Nabal but goes straight to Abigail, tells the story, and she immediately grasps the seriousness of the situation and decisively takes action. She gathers a whole bunch of provisions and food which are packed on donkeys and sent ahead with servants, and she did not tell her husband what she was doing. She goes out and meets David and pours her heart out to him, accepting all the blame and responsibility, interceding for her husband, reminding David of his better self and all the Lord has done and will do for him and through him, and offers him the gift of food. Abigail helps to calm David down and enables him to see that there is alternative to bloodshed. Yes, Abigail is an important biblical role model of moral courage and peacemaking. We see she could have been a victim of violence at the hand of either Nabal or David. But here Abigail saves her household by using her good sense, wisdom, and courage. In this story, she is the only person in contact with all the other characters. She is the clear decision maker and action taker. At the end of the story, this wise woman, peacemaking, courageous, was rewarded. Abigail was able to avert a confrontation between two leaders that would have been disastrous for both. So makikita natin dito that Abigail was so full of wisdom because the Lord was with her. So what lessons can we learn from her life? Number one, Abigail did not allow fear to paralyze her. Abigail lost no time. It's written in verse 18. So no matter how difficult or threatening our situation, God's power within us is greater than we can ever fully see or comprehend. God is able to use any of us, even those who feel insignificant or powerless, for His greater good. Number 2 lesson, Abigail showed great wisdom in acting quickly, swiftly, and speaking honorably to David. The Bible describes Abigail as being an intelligent and beautiful woman, and she took control of the situation that was potentially dangerous for them all. She did not just sit around and blame her husband or remain stuck in fear. And number 3, Abigail was willing to take a risk at great cost to herself. And that can be read in verses 23 to 28. So Abigail put everything on the line to save Nabal's men. She prepared food and rode out to meet David and his 400 men. Here, she stepped in at great cost and risk to herself. No doubt this surprised David, as the most unlikely person offered herself up for the men he intended to destroy. God took care of Abigail, and the story goes on to say that when David learned that Nabal had died, he sent word to her asking her to be his wife. David showed honor to Abigail by taking care of her, and the Lord faithfully provided for her and all her household because of the courage and wisdom she portrayed. We never have to stuck in fear or defeat, thinking that our situation will never change. Just like Abigail, if we are faithful to God, His word, and submit to Him, God can do in just a moment what may take years to work through by ourselves. Abigail's story clearly teaches us that God rewards us, sees every heart, and He works powerfully on behalf of those who choose to follow Him. Yes, God can bring out the best in you even in the hardest times. God bless everyone.